Okay, so I give the disclaimer there. We are recording this session. We put it on our YouTube channel, Anandamayi Satsang West. It's seen by devotees. So if you participate, you will be recorded. But we hope that doesn't dampen anyone's enthusiasm for joining us and contributing and sharing your thoughts at the end when we do that. So we always start with, do we do the Kirtan first or do we introduce people first? Pragya or Reina? I never remember.
We do introductions first, usually.
Okay. So first, let's think about what we're doing. Ma always said, one cannot even think of her unless he first thinks of us. So we are all here because Anandamayi Ma thought of us in her divine vision and somehow called us all to be here and learn more about her and study her life and teachings. And she is such a resource of spiritual blessing. When we know of her, when she's touched our hearts and we think of her throughout the day, if we just say her name or say our mantra with her, thinking of her, she automatically connects us to the whole, to the purna, the fullness, because she is the perfect manifestation of what we are inside. She's a manifestation of our own souls. So to remember Ma is to remember our own true nature. And her one reason for being on this earth was to bring us back to the fullness of our true nature. So by thinking of her, we remember who we really are. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to think of her with the idea of how she tells us to come to that goal of total self-realization and total God realization. So we started this satsang in person many years ago. And since COVID, we've been doing it online, and now people are joining us from all over the world. I see some people are here for the first time, and I recognize many beautiful faces from our normal group. So I always like to take the time, and I appreciate people have patience for this. We ask everyone to turn on their video. And then at the bottom left of your screen, there's a mute and unmute button. And so our technical co-host Renu is going to call people by name and introduce, and then you can all introduce yourselves. But first I want to introduce my co-host, who is Pragya Hallstrom, the author of Mother of Bliss, a beautiful book about Ma. And she and I are going to work together on this satsang. So Pragya, can you introduce yourself, please? Although I just introduced you.
Yes, Jai Ma. Good to see you all. I live in Amherst, Massachusetts, and it's very beautiful to be with all of you today.
Thank you, Pragya. And we'll hear from her more later. Those of you who don't know, my name is Mangalananda. And I was given the title Acharya, which means just a teacher of the lineage by our ashram in India, Ma Sharanam Ashram, and also Omkareshwar Ashram. So I've been asked to do this whenever I can, just to share Ma's teachings and my experience of trying to live with them my whole life. Okay, so Renu, why don't you introduce yourself, and Renu will call people by name. And what I ask is, we have a lot of people here, so during this time, just very briefly say your name and where you're from, so we can just all see each other, and turn your video on so you can so we can see you. Then we just all get to kind of know each other, because another reason for this satsang is we want to have community. Those whose hearts have been touched by Anandamayi Ma. I like to have you all here so we can all know each other, support each other, learn from each other, share our experiences and our love for Ma. So as Renu calls your name, just briefly say your name and where you're from, and we can just go from there, okay? And later on, we'll have a time after our meditation where we have the open session where we can also share more. And I like people have stories or impressions or anything. That's later on. So for now, Renu.
Okay. Hi, Jai Ma, everyone. Renu from San Francisco Bay, Fremont. And we're going to just go down the line. Just unmute yourself and then mute yourself again so we can get everybody through. So we're going to start with Anu.
Hi. Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. It's me, Anu. I'm still in Washington State.
Good to see you, Anu, an old friend. Very nice you can join us.
Glad to be here.
Jai Ma, welcome. Next we have Lisa.
Hello, I'm from Toulouse, France. And I'm with the George Shees group on Sunday evenings, and he invited us. Today. So-
Very good. He should be here also translating, but your English sounds perfect. Very,
Yes, I'm American. I'm from Washington, D.C.
very good. Very good. Well, very welcome. We're very happy to have you and your whole group. I spoke to the group. I've spoken to them twice on Zoom.
Yes, I did participate one morning with you. It was a Sunday morning in France. It was so beautiful. And then I bought the books and everything. So it was wonderful. Yes, thank you so much.
Very, very good. Hmm.
Okay, bienvenue. Welcome, Lisa. Next, we have Bolanath.
Polanath. Are you there, Polanath?
Hello, can you see me?
Yes.
Oh, great. So I'm
Kind
from
of.
France, and my name is Frédéric.
Very good. But you also,
Very-
you have the name Polanath?
Sorry?
You have the name Polanath?
Yeah,
Great. That was Ma's husband's name. Beautiful.
yeah, I know that.
Welcome, welcome.
Ve-
Come
Very
on.
happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Welcome. Next, we have Bill Ryan.
Hello, I'm Bill. I live in Tucson, Arizona, and I am very pleased to be at my first live satsang. Thanks to Praja for the invite.
Very good. We're very happy to have you, Bill. Very good. Thank you.
Welcome, Jema. Next, we have Blake.
Are you there, Blake? You have to unmute.
Okay. Hi, I'm Blake, and I'm from the Bay Area. I live in Dublin. Same.
Jim, again.
Jema, welcome, Blake. Next, we have Brigitte.
I'm here for the first time for this satsang.
We can barely hear you.
I'll switch on the video, but okay, thank you.
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Bridget, yes. Can you turn your video on? It's at the bottom left of the screen. Just click on start video.
Don't you mind if I don't switch on this video?
Okay,
today?
okay. We're very happy to have you, Bridget.
Okay, thank
Welcome, Jayman.
Thank you. I'm from France. Sorry.
Very good. A lot of people from France today.
Thank you.
Jema, welcome. Let's see. Next, we have Bruce D. Richardson.
I'm Bruce from sunny South Carolina this afternoon. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you, Bruce. We always saw you in Boston. Didn't you used to be in Boston?
Vermont, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Good to see you again.
Lovely
Jayman.
to see you.
Jema, welcome. Next, we have Colleen Arenciel. Colleen is unmuted, so you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Are you there, Colleen? Okay, well, you're welcome. We're happy to see you, although we can't see you now. Jayman.
Welcome. Next, we have Carla Mattioli.
Hi, Jema, everybody. I'm Carla from Rockport, Massachusetts. Great to be here.
Always good to see you, Carla. Jayman.
Jema.
Welcome.
Little community, we recognize each other's faces who come every month. It's really sweet. It's really very nice.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, next we have Katya.
Hello, dear friends. Jema, this is Katya from Portugal, Madeira Island. So very, very happy to be here with you. Very happy. Thank you.
Jema, welcome.
Jema.
You always make us happy to see you. Sweet smiling face.
And I'm always happy to see you too. Jema.
Jema, welcome. Next we have David Herring.
Hello, we are Linda and David. We live in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Oh.
Jema.
Jayman. Thank you for coming, Jayman.
Okay, Jema, welcome. David and Linda. And then next we have, let's see, Dravert. Or Draver.
Drover. Okay, well, you're welcome. If it gets-
Vous m'entendez? You...
Oh,
Ouais. My name is Eric from Paris. Very happy for ici. My English very bad.
welcome. Good to see you from Paris, Jema.
Thank you.
bienvenue. Next, we have Edith F.
Edith, are you there?
Okay. Oh, there she goes.
Okay, Edith, you're welcome. Jema.
Okay.
Edith and my husband, Jean-Marie. We are from La Réunion, Île de la Réunion. Indian Ocean.
Very good. We're happy to see you, Jema.
Happy to be here.
Very good.
Bienvenue. Next, we have Franck.
Hello, my name is Frank from France.
Welcome, Frank from France, Jema.
Thank you.
Jema, welcome. Next, we have Georgie.
Hello, Jema. This is Georgie from Normandy, France. Helping with the translation in French today for the wide variety of faces of the self here, who are French speakers. Jema.
Excellent. Georgie runs the Ma Satsang group there in France. We're really happy to have him join us.
Jema, welcome, Georgie. And next we have Greg, formerly from New Hampshire. Last time was from Arizona. I'm not sure where he is now.
Hi, I'm Greg. Still in Arizona, just outside of Tucson, like the other fellow, I forget his name.
We don't.
So, Jema, thanks for being here.
Have you turned your video on?
Oh yeah, I'm in area with pretty low connection. My video's on. I don't know if you're seeing it.
Okay, let's see your picture. Anyway, Greg, we know what you look like, and we're always happy to see your face. Really good point about.
Thank you. I'm in a pretty low bandwidth here, but thank you. Thanks for being here. Glad I could connect.
Good. Jema, Greg.
Jema, welcome. Next we
Jema.
have Helen Moon.
Hi, I'm Jema. I'm so happy to be here. My mind ran away with itself yesterday, and it feels very nourishing already. I'm from Salt Spring Island, BC, Canada. Thank you.
Jema, a wonderful place. I'm happy you joined us.
Always good to hear from Salt Spring Island.
Yeah.
All right. Jema, welcome. Next we have iPad de Joao.
Hello, Jema from Switzerland. My name is Joao. And my 10 points go to Ma.
Very good. Welcome to Switzerland. Welcome from Switzerland. Good to see you, Jema.
Thank you.
Jema, welcome. And next we have Janet Rubinson.
Jema.
And David from Lake Worth, Florida. Jema.
Good to see you guys as always.
Happy to see so many wonderful people here today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jema, welcome, Janet and David.
And
Next,
Jen and I had some time together in the Bahamas recently because I was teaching and doing Kirtan there. She popped over from Florida. And it was really nice. Got to eat together every night.
welcome, Jema. Next we have Julia from Canada.
Well, I'm now in the wilds of Florida.
Wow.
And actually here, the alligators are very active. And I've heard that this is a sign of persistence and ongoing because they survived what the dinosaurs could not survive. So these are very ancient beings here on the land. So yes, I'm in Ona, Florida.
Good to see you, Shama. And I remember your alligators when I was listening there. don't remember by name, but I remember them.
Jema, welcome. Next, we have Laurent Serpo.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes.
Jema.
Jema, welcome. Good to
Jema, I am from France, Bordeaux. Happy to be here.
Very good.
Jema, welcome and bienvenue. Next, we have Lisa.
I think Lisa already introduced herself.
Oh, okay. Next, we have Lucas.
Are you there, Lucas? Okay, well, we're happy to have you. Stay tuned.
Welcome. Next, we have Margaret.
Hello. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, yes. Are you Lucas?
Oh, yes, I'm Lucas. Hello, guys. Jema, my name is Lucas. I come from Poland, but I've been living for a while in UK right now. So I'm very happy and very lucky to join the satsang tonight, actually, because I've been using my mobile for the first time by joining the satsang. So yeah, it's been a bit difficult to connect, but I'm here. Jema.
Very good, Lucas. Thank you. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Jema.
Me too. Thank you. Jema.
Jema, welcome. Okay, let's see. Next, we have Margaret.
Jema. I'm sorry my camera is not functioning at this moment, but I'm happy to be here and Diana and aloha to Jema.
Where are you from, Margaret?
I'm in Ohio right now, but originally from Hawaii.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Welcome. I'm glad you could join. Come on.
Aloha, welcome. And next, we have Mary Conrad.
Are you there, Mary?
Yes, Imashivai. I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Very good.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mary.
Welcome, Mary. Next, we have Michael Ziv.
Hi, I'm Michael from Sebastopol in Northern California. Jema.
Good to see you, Michael. Neighbor and a friend.
Hey, Ma, welcome, Michael. Next, we have Muriel.
Hi, everybody. I am Muriel from France, in the south of France. And I am very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Jema.
Jema, welcome, Muriel. And then next, we have Pamela Deschamps.
Pamela, like the lotus?
Pamela, like Pam.
Pamela with a P, okay. Are you there, Pamela?
Can you unmute Pamela?
Yes. Hello, I'm Pamela. I'm from Toulouse, and I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you, Jema.
Welcome, Jema.
Jema, welcome.
Today.
Next, we have Pankaj.
Jema. Pankaja de Suisse. Très heureuse d'être parmi vous.
Welcome, Jema.
Jema.
Pankaja said she's really happy to be here.
Very sweet.
Next, we have Paul or Gulshan.
Hi, Paul, Jema, everybody. Glad to be here. I'm from Washington, D.C. Jema.
Thank you for joining us, Gulshan. All right. Thank you for joining us.
Jema, welcome. Next, we have Rafi Miller.
Hi, Jay Ma. I'm Rafi and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin today.
Oh, welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. Jay Ma.
Jay Ma, welcome. Rafi. Next we have Randy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Randy from the Berkshires in Massachusetts, and so glad to be here.
Always good to see you, Randy. Jay Ma.
Jay Ma, welcome, Randy. Next we have Rickshaw or Rick Shaw. I'm not sure which one.
Hey, Ma. Hi, everybody. It's Helen from France in Normandy, Le Havre. I'm very happy to be here with you. Thank you very much.
Very good. We're happy to have you, Jay Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jay Ma, welcome. Next we have Sanjay Jaswal.
Jai Ma, this is Sanjay, and with me, Kashyap and Shivank are there. We are from Wichita campus. So grateful to be over here. Jai Ma.
Jay Ma, आपके स्वागत है. Thank you.
Jay Ma, welcome to the three of you. And next we have Saraswati.
Jai Ma, Saraswati here. I am sending greetings from Buffalo, New York.
Very good, Saraswati. Again, always good to see you.
Jay Ma, welcome. Next we have Suzelle Ziegler.
Hello, my name is Suzelle. I'm from New Caledonia, but I have to go to work in a few minutes, so I will be going away. I'm sorry.
Well, welcome.
So
join
you
us.
will be in my heart.
Very good.
When I work.
We'll start with the actual Satsang. Thank you for joining us, Jay Ma.
Jay Ma, welcome. You can always watch the replay too.
Yeah.
And next we have Tilai.
Hi, Jai Ma. We are from France. Here, Chile. Here, its cat is Shiva. And my name is Anne.
Very good.
Very happy with you. And very happy for me.
Jay Ma.
Jay Ma, welcome. And next we have Yamuna, also from France.
Jai Ma, I'm Yamuna. I live in France, in the south, Toulon, near Marseille. So happy to be here.
Jay Ma. Jay Ma. Beautiful name, Yamuna, the river.
Yes.
Jay Ma, welcome. And next we have Yana and Sarah from Hawaii.
It's Yana and Sarah from the big island of Hawaii. Jai Ma.
Well, good to see you both. It's so sweet that you're friends now. It's really nice.
Aloha, welcome. And then finally we have Arpita Ji.
Jai Ma, my name is Arpita. My name is Robert. And we live in Florida. And Julia, you just elevated the alligators and put them in a different class altogether. I have new respect for alligators now.
Good. Robert's been in our prayers. So I'm happy to see you're up and around, doing well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jay Ma.
Jay Ma, welcome to you both. And that seems to be it, unless I missed someone.
Well, last but certainly not least is this wonderful lady to my left. Who
Jai
is?
Ma. I live in Navarro, California with Acharya Mangalananda.
Because she's my wife and Dharma buddy, Gloria. Gloria or Jyoti or I can't remember your Sikh name. Sridham Kaur, if we're doing in the Sikh tradition. Okay, well, so happy. Thank you for being patient because I really love seeing everyone's face and we see each other and we get to know each other. It's really, we do have community, even though it's, online now. And so many people have met because of this. And so we're very, very happy to see everyone. Okay, so where we always start is we do this particular kirtan because we're going to invoke Ma through understanding her words and life, but also we just need to tune into her presence with our heart. And a really good way to do that is singing. So we do this kirtan, which we wrote for our ashram in India, which is called Ma Sharanam Ashram, which means Sharanam means a place of refuge, a place of safety and peace. So we say Om Ma Sharanam. It means Ma, you are my refuge, or my place of strength and stability and support.
Sound.
Ah, yeah, thank you. So please be muted, but please sing along and call to Ma from your very heart. Om Ma Sharanam. 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 Om Ma Anandamayi Ma, 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 Anandamayi Ma. Om Ma Sharanam, Om Ma Sharanam, Om Ma Sharanam, Om Ma Sharanam. Sharanam, Om Ma 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 Sharanam. Om Ma Sharanam, 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 Sharanam Om Ma
Sharanam
Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma
Sharanam
Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma
Sharanam
Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma
Om Sharanam Om
Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma
Om Sharanam Om
Om Ma Sharanam 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 Om Ma Sharanam. And all together one last time, full love for Mom. Om Ma Sharanam. Om Ma Sharanam. Om Ma Sharanam. Om Ma Sharanam. So let's just sit quietly for a moment and just feel Ma's presence now that we've invoked her through Kirtan. Feel her presence with us and her guidance to us. And I'd like to always start with this reminder from Ma's own words of her presence, of her assurance of her presence with us. So these are Ma's words. She says, I am ever with each one of you, wherever you happen to be. But your vision is tied down to worldly matters and you have little time to direct your eyes to this body and your thoughts and actions. What can I do? But know it for certain that whatever you do in thought and deed, whether you are near or in distant lands, never escapes my loving attention. Just as at a flash of torchlight, your faces gleam forth in their bold outlines, all your facial expressions appear in my mind when you meditate on me or talk about me or sit down to pray to me. So that's Ma's assurance sound. Thank you. My external memory. Thank you. So that's Ma's assurance that she is with us. So I always like to start to read a little bit from Ma's life, just different people's experiences of her and just how she related to people in this world. Now, today, this satsang, we have a special theme, you could say. Gloria and I just returned from India, where we had I want to later tell you a little bit about the trip. But one of our goals of that trip, and those of you who come regularly to the satsang know this, was to put the ashes of our dear friend Shraddha Davenport, an American devotee of Anandamayi Ma from way back, a very long-term devotee of Ma, very dear to us. At her request, when she passed away these past few months, we put her ashes in the Ganga, which is something that every good Hindu longs to do, because it says in the scriptures, and we know from our experience, the Ganga is literally a river of divine feminine light. The light comes through from the very beginning and permeates every atom of the water. And so when the ashes of a cremated body are put into it, it's considered the soul gets a great blessing of light in their abode where they are now. So I want to read something from her. Shraddha Davenport wrote a beautiful book called In Her Perfect Love about her experiences of being with Ma. And I want to read about her first darshan. So I have a note here. It says, Shraddha and her husband Satya first came to Ma from the US in 1970, and until Ma's passing in 1982, came regularly to India to be with Ma. After Satya's auspicious passing, because he passed, he had cancer, he passed sitting looking at a picture of Ma with Shraddha saying their mantra in his ear and had some prasad in his mouth. So it was a very auspicious passing. After Satya's auspicious passing, Shraddha lives in seclusion, immersed in meditation on Ma. Her book is a treasure of beautiful experience with Ma. So here's Shraddha's words of her experience with, one of her experiences, earlier experience with Ma. Soon we were standing on the porch in front of the shutters. Then someone opened the shutters and I could see Ma at the far end of the large hall. We moved inside where we knelt, gazing at her as the haunting bhajan He Pita was sung by Brahmachari Vibhuda. This is always sung after meditation in Ma's presence. Ma once heard a divine being, a astral being singing this, so she sang it. We were taken along the side porch to doors that were just across from where Ma sat. There we had a much better view of her. My joy was complete as I knelt with folded palms. Tears of happiness ran down my cheeks as I smiled and said to myself, it is really happening. I'm really here. This is the greatest moment of my life, and I know it. As I looked at Mother with her beautiful little hands together in namaste, I thought she was greeting someone behind me until my husband told me otherwise. Then she took one corner of the yellow towel which lay around her neck to wipe a tear from her eye. Now my own tears came in a torrent. After some time, everyone arose and stood as Ma went out a door near where she had been sitting. Then someone told us to come to the front as Ma was coming out to greet us. We could not believe it, but there she was, seated in a tiny pandal in front of the satsang hall. We hastened to her feet, pranamed, and offered the fruit which we had brought. Mother asked about our lives, our schooling, and what kind of work we did. I told her about the dream of her I had in 1960, because as a preface to this, Shraddha had a dream, a very one of these astral dreams or supernatural dreams, where she was sitting. This is in 1960. She was sitting, and suddenly this car drove up with an open top, and there was this Indian lady with black hair sitting in it, and smiled at her and looked at her in the face, and she had this totally cosmic experience. The lady smiled and drove on. And she looked and looked for this lady. Where was she? Who was she? And finally, she saw a picture on Anandamayi Ma, and it was her. So she came. This is the background. I told her about the dream I had of her in 1960. Ma said, "You have a very good samskara to be here." She confirmed my name, Shraddha, and said she would check my mantra the next morning. She then gave us many detailed instructions for correctly living grihastha ashram. That's the house, the dharma of a householder, a married couple. As we sat there at Ma's feet, I gazed into those wonderful eyes, the eyes of the beautiful lady in my dream. Then this is important because we've talked about this before, how I've checked with many people who had their first darshan and Ma had the same experience of this interesting familiarity, and listen to how Shraddha puts it. She's got it right. Then I experienced something which I had never dreamed of. A presence so familiar, but something unusual and new at the same time. It took a little while for me to understand what I was experiencing. Then I recognized the presence. I had known it all my life, one that I had never been without, but I had not identified it before or truly even thought of it. It was my very own self. But now I was experiencing this same presence. It was my own self, only it was Ma and her presence. Herself and myself were the same, not in some abstract philosophical way, not just alike, but one and the same. See, she put it into words. I had the same experience, the same kind of experience. I first met Ma. Just looking at her, I just knew I'd always known her. There was just this familiarity. There was never a time I didn't know her. But Shraddha took it further. She knew. And Ma often said, I am your own self. The Atma of everyone, this Atma is everyone's Atma. She said it many times, I am your own self. So Shraddha experienced it. She was seeing her real self outside of her as Ma. And this is very, very true. How Ma is linked with each one of us because she really literally is our own self. So it continues. So Shraddha continues. Now I knew where I belonged. The joy of my heart knew no bounds as it was born of her, the mother of my heart. So nicely put. How could it be that I was so blessed? Only by her sweet grace could such a thing happen. For without her, I am completely and hopelessly lost. I put my head down at Ma's feet, and she put both her little hands on my head and blessed me lovingly. Then leaning forward and looking into my eyes, she said, "You are not new to me. I know you very well." At one time, Ma this was several years later, because then Shraddha came many times with Shri and Shraddha and Satya came many times over the years. I don't remember how many times. But one time after Ma had been there one time, Ma looked at Shraddha very carefully and said, I always see you sitting at my feet, whether you are here in the body or not. I always see you sitting here. Isn't that beautiful?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she was very, very dear. So I only have one quick, oh, just a second. Lost words back here. I want to read one other brief account here, which I came across recently when I was reading. It's so beautiful. It just shows what Ma's way of responding to things were. So gracious. This is from, it's just talking about, it's from 1969. They were just describing the things that Ma did during that month before this last publication. And this just struck me. It's so beautiful. Try to see this in your mind as it's happening. They're talking about some events that were going on at the ashram at the time, and Ma was witnessing them. Here it was. So this wonderful saint who was giving a talk was speaking. So it says, Sri Sitaram Sharandas of Ayodhya sang Vadhai, the story of Sri Rama's birth, beautifully and with deep feeling. So it was a whole katha of Ram's life. He sang it so beautifully. So he's a professional singer and katha giver. At the end, you see also this shows how people would play with Ma. In India, this is a similar thing. They had so much respect for Ma, but they had such intimacy. They would play with her. They would ask her things out of jokes, and they would just play. So this is a beautiful thing. He says, at the end of his singing, he spread out in his cloth in the at the end of his singing, he spread out his cloth in the gesture of begging. That's the way a beggar or sadhu would say, give me bhiksha. He spread out his cloth in the gesture of begging and said to Ma, when Rama was born, Koshaya Ma in her joy took off her jewelry and distributed it to those presents. Ma, what will you give me? And that's sweet. And it's just a beautiful, sweet play. Without a moment's hesitation, Ma left her seat and went near Sita Ramji. With a graceful gesture, she folded her hands and bowed deeply into the cloth, saying, this little child is giving herself.
Wow.
Good gift.
Yeah.
And that's the gift Ma has to give, is herself. Her own being, her own infinite consciousness, we can become one with and realize our own self in her. This little child is giving herself. The whole congregation was deeply thrilled, and people then gave lavishly to the inspired singer, who kept nothing for himself but distributed to the poor. The next day, Ma procured 108 volumes of scriptures, such as Upanishad, Bhagavata, etc., and presented them to Sri Sitaram Sharandas for free distribution. Isn't that beautiful? But that just touched me so much. This is what Ma gives. She gives herself. We can ask her stupid things like, can I get a job, Ma? Can I get a, and people did. Oh, my husband's having a problem at work. My son needs to get married. People would ask that. But Ma said several times, she said, so many people come to this body with just, asking for small things. But she said, oh, very few come in search of reality. And that's what she wanted. She wanted people who came with longing hearts for God, because that's what she could give. Now, I want to share a few photos. Now, this is not with the idea of like how I spent my summer vacation, but Gloria and I just came back. I want to share a few of our photos from my trip, because it was very relevant, I think, to our meeting. First of all, we were at Ma Sharanam Ashram, our ashram in central India, dedicated to Anandamayi Ma. And they were very insistent about, they said, please be here during at least this last week. Since COVID began, they've been doing every year, they do a whole month-long, what's called Anushthan. That means a spiritual practice with an intention. They do an Anushthan for the good of the whole world, for the upliftment and blessing of the whole world. And in our Ma temple, they're doing 24/7, all day and all night for 1 month, Mahamantra Kirtan, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama Kirtan. At the same time, because we have many temples on the property, in our Sikh Gurdwara, they're reading day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 1 month from the Guru Granth Sahib, which is called Anand Pat. In our little Kali Mandir, where we have the Yagya Shala, where we do the fire ritual, they weren't doing that all day. They were doing that from from dawn to night every day. They had the Yagya Shala, and they were offering the ghee into the fire with the mantra, Om Purna Brahma Narayani Ma Anandamayi Swaha. So they were offering offerings to this, and this produces an incredible atmosphere. So these three things were going on every day for 1 month. And so they wanted me to make sure we were there for the last week of it at least. So I was there for the last week and got to partake of all the different offerings and singing Kirtan, and everything. Was a wonderful time. So let me quickly show you that. And then the last day of each of these things, we did the Sikh. On one day, we ended the whole Sikh program. The next day, we ended the whole Kirtan, taking the Kirtan out into the ashram. The next evening, we ended the yajna. And it was very moving and very amazing. Okay, so here is the entrance to our Ma Sharanam Ashram, a very beautiful, wonderful place in central India on the banks of the Narmada River, dedicated to Anandamayi Ma, with a school for village children, a Gurukul where we train boys full-time. Also, we're opening a girls' school to Gurukul also. And they do all sorts of amazing work for the people. They do programs for training women to have skills, and just incredible work. Here we are in our evening service. This is Swami Guru Sharananda here. That's me.
Mangalanandaji, we don't see anything yet.
Really?
Are you
I've
sharing?
got to go back and share. I'm sorry, you're right. Let's go back. I left out an important step, share screen. So I've got to find you here. Where'd you go? Okay, there we are. I got to do share screen. You're right. Thank you. Okay, here we are. Okay, now this is our Ma Sharanam Ashram. The entrance to it is a very beautiful property on the banks of the Narmada River. And the school is over here at the side, and we also have a Gurukul. Here we are in their regular gathering. That's the Swami Guru Sharananda, our dear friend who runs it, who used to come to America before COVID. And some of the boys here from the school. Here you see, this is our Anandamayi Ma temple. And you'll see later, there's a Murti of Ma here and a picture of Ma back. We have Didi Ma here and Didi. And we have women mystics from all different religions, Christian, Sufi, Sikh, Hindu, all around the outside. So it's a pure Devi energy Shakti, feminine, divine feminine Shakti. Here's our Murti of Ma here. And this is a Sri Yantra, a three-dimensional Sri Yantra, by which the Divine Mother is invoked in this great tantric practice of Sri Vidya. This is the last day of the month-long recitation of in our Sikh Gurdwara. And so Swami Guru Sharananda and I are singing Sikh bhajans. And this is our dear boy Dharmendra, who is a dwarf. He's about 3 feet tall, and he lives in the ashram and has a very happy life there. In his village, he was made fun of and taunted and kind of rejected because of his abnormality. But in Ma Sharanam, he finds a beautiful home and he loves it there. This is the last day where we took the Kirtan out into the ashram. You see, we would go out and we would just stop and dance, and we were singing Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. They bring the drum and the harmonium with them. And we went through the whole ashram. We even went into the kitchen, and we finished the whole month-long Kirtan with that blissful day. It was like being with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his singing the Maha Mantra. And then the other night, the third night, we did the last of the Yagyashala, of the Havan. We're offering the ghee and the seeds into the fire with the mantras for the good of the whole world, and then we offered up the whole fruits of that for the good of everyone, for the good. Vishva Kalyan is called. So it's a beautiful experience being there, and people are always welcome to visit our Ma Sharanam Ashram. And then we went up to, Gloria and I went up to Kankal, which is where the main ashram of Anandamayi Ma is, where her body is enshrined in the Samadhi Peeth. It's called the Jyoti Peeth, the Temple of Light. And there, my dear friend Shraddha had left us a little life insurance policy to cover the expenses of this trip. So we arranged for a sadhu bhandara. There's 21 swamis here, monks, and we fed them in Shraddha's name and asked them. At one point I bowed to them and I told them about Shraddha. I said, please say a prayer for our dear friend and Guru Bahan Shraddha. So that was offering the sadhus. We offered them food, very good food, and an orange shawl and a Rudrakshamala. Here they're putting a Rudrakshamala around them. We also fed the poor. And then, oh, sorry, we have to go back. And then here, they assigned us a really wonderful pundit, And we brought the ashes to the banks of the Ganga. This is the ashes of my friend Shraddha with her picture with Ma. And the Brahmin Pandit did the full ritual of blessing of all the holy places, all the worlds, asking the worlds to be opened up before her. Very beautiful and moving blessing. And Gloria and I were both just weeping. And then I put her ashes right into the Ganga. And as they merged, I mean, this incredible thing happens. It's amazing ritual that the Holy Ganga embraces the soul whose ashes are put into it. It was very moving. And then you're supposed to bathe in the Ganga. So here we are after we bathe and put on dry clothes at the Ganga. And this is the Samadhi of Anandamayi Ma. There's a Murti back here, but her body is in sitting posture in this marble, you guess you call it sarcophagus there. There it is. Their Ma is enshrined right there. It's very powerful, a very powerful place to be and chant and feel Ma's presence. So there you go. So thank you. That was I wanted to, and those who knew Ma, those who knew Shraddha. Oh wait, there was one more. Just a second. So now Shraddha is with Ma. This is Shraddha here with Anandamayi Ma. And we know for sure Ma is taking her into her being. And we did our part that we promised we would do to her like 22 years ago or so. So that all worked out really well. And then briefly, I want to just read a little bit of Ma's words so for our own benefits. Let's listen to how Ma instructs us how we should proceed towards fulfilling her will of finding our own true selves. Ma says, "For ages and ages, you have already enjoyed so much of eating and sleeping, of worldly pleasures and comforts. The more one indulges in them, the more prominent they grow. One must not give in to them. The human does not know at what particular time the divine power, Shakti, may manifest. Make up your mind never to abandon your practices, aiming at that, capital T, she used the word tat karma, action that goes towards God. Until you have reached your goal, you must keep on exerting yourself, binding every minute of the 24 hours. The more the mind remains absorbed in the thought of God, the stronger will that power grow, and this power is your companion on the path to the Supreme. Remember this." That's what she says. Remember this. So the more our practice is established and fed by our daily practice, our daily participation, she says, the power will grow, and this power is your companion. That power will push us forward, open up the way before us. So now I want to ask Pragya to give an introduction about her new book and to give a reading from that of Ma's words. This is Ma's satsang. When people are sitting with Ma and she's talking.
Jai Ma, it's so good to be with you all today. I'm very moved by all of you coming from France with Georgie, and I know it's late at night there, so welcome to our French brothers and sisters who are here. So Mangalananda was asking me to say a little bit about the new book, which I'm about to finish and is about to be published. And it's a collection of Ma's satsangs from 1960 to 1980. And it's 2 volumes. It's 2 volumes. It's going to be in a box set. And these are tapes that have never been heard before and have been transcribed and translated. So it's been my joy to do that. But today I wanted to read a really interesting talk that Ma gave. This is in September of 1961 in New Delhi. So she was invited, as she was often invited to meet great beings such as Mahatma Gandhi. In this case, she was being invited to the presidential house, the house of the President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. And at the time that this has happened, he was, had been a scholar, an activist, a lawyer, and now he was the president, the first president of India. And what I find really moving about this talk is, so here he is with this huge job of being the first president of India. and he's inviting Ma to his home. And what is she going to tell him? What will she, how will she, express to him the point of human life? And she doesn't mince words with him, which I really am so touched by. And interestingly, 9 months after this conversation that she had with Dr. Prasad, he decided to retire before his term was up at the age of 67 and returned to his home in Patna. And he died 9 months after that. So when you think of the words she spoke to him, must have been extremely influential. I'm reading you a short part of it, but the fact that he received from Ma herself these instructions and these teachings is really powerful. So it's the two of them there at the presidential palace. Shri Ma, we have always had desires. How many births and deaths have we gone through to accomplish this unending list of desires? And did we see an end to them? Or had we anything useful that came from those desires? Did they save us? No. Instead, they threw us into the hell of misery and suffering. This is called durgati, the fall of grace, the fall from grace that comes from wrong understanding. And this body says that those who are involved in worldly passions and keeping him away from themselves fall into this durgati. What is the cause of our death? Only these passions. That is why this body calls Vishaya, the passions, Visha, poison. Just like poison, they also kill a person. First, these passions kill the person, and then they give him another birth. Thus, birth and death cause each other alternately. Death hands over the person to birth, and birth hands him over to death. There is a conspiracy going on between them, and the innocent person has become a victim of it. If one wants to come out of this vicious cycle, he should pray to God, "Oh Lord, give me bhakti, devotion. Give me jnana, knowledge. Manifest it to me." If we want to save ourselves from the cruel hands of birth and death, we should only ask him to show us the way that leads to him. We should have this desire alone while praying to him. One cannot be out of this vicious cycle until deha buddhi, the mind focused on physical pleasures and the body and desires, is gone, and bhagavad buddhi, the mind focused on God, is developed. Once a person nurtures the idea, "Oh God, I want only you. Show me the way to come to you," his deha buddhi ends. Once the deha buddhi is finished, God automatically reveals himself. There is no other way. Only this spiritual desire will end the need to bear a body again and again. And Ma laughs joyfully at that point. Begging him to give you his knowledge will end the body. Beg him to give you bhakti and jnana and show you the way, and he will manifest to you. If you want to free yourself from the fetters of the body, follow the path which will enable that Parama Shanti Swarupa, embodiment of peace, Parama Jnana Swarupa, the embodiment of supreme knowledge, Atma Swarupa, the form of the self, Bhakti Swarupa, the form of the devotee, and the Mahayogi, the great yogi in you. It will manifest all this in you, who is nothing but your own self manifested in you. If you want to have a desire, have the desire alone that will elevate you and lead you toward him and not toward durgati, the fall into misery. And Ma laughs again. Only this desire for Bhagavat Prapti, the attainment of God, will bring you real peace and pleasure. Do not develop durbuddhi, negative thoughts. Do not run toward durgati, the fall from grace. All these passions are slow poison. A person who eats poison dies immediately, but these passions kill a person gradually. Once you enjoy them, their effect remains in your mind in the form of impressions and becomes a slow poison. And Ma says that in English, a slow poison. eventually bringing you death. After you are dead, those very passions bring you into another birth. That is why this body says, do not die with these unfulfilled desires in you. If you die with them, you will die from a slow poison. And how strange that this poison of the passions, unlike ordinary poison, does not end with the end of the body. Neither does it end after giving you another birth. It remains there as a seed until you uproot it with the desire for God. You are immortal. You are the children of the immortal. Open the way to reveal this immortality. So keep him in the mind all the time. Say, I shall never leave he whom I found in the form of Akshara, sacred syllable, and Nama, the name. I will never care about an object, action, or problem. I shall only call him and pray to him for him. This is the way to remove Durgati, Durbodha, and Durbuddhi, the fall from grace, ignorance, and the feeling of being far away from God. To remove the fall from grace, Tat Buddhi, the idea that it is he and he alone, is the only way. Always think, it is only you and no one else. You are making me do all these things. This Durbuddhi and Durbodha have overpowered me because of my past deeds. You are giving me all these miseries and troubles only to destroy them. You are giving me all these punishments only to end the fruits of my previous bhoga, enjoyment. We are all his children, only we have to try so that he reveals himself to us. Jai Ma.
Wow, really powerful. Really powerful. We should kind of dissect this and analyze it, all the things that Ma said. So first of all, Pragya, what are your thoughts about this reading? What do you find in it? I mean, there's so much, but what strikes you right off?
Well, I'm just thinking, she's talking to someone who's and later on in the talk, he starts to say, but I have so many things to do, and I have so many pulls in so many directions. And she's saying there's only one important thing in life, and that is to give ourselves to God with 100%. And I just think, she's giving him essentially a sermon on how, his goals in life need to completely change. And he does. He quits his job and he goes into seclusion and he starts doing these practices, absorbing himself in God and changing his goal from, making the world better to finding that which is God, his real self. So I think and it goes on from here. As sometime soon the book will be out and we can read the whole thing together.
Yeah, thank you, Pragya. And we look forward to that book so much. That's going to be a huge contribution to the literature on Ma, really and truly. Another time, but on another level, Ma said it many times. She said, I never tell anyone to leave their house and go to the jungle, to leave their responsibilities. Now, he took it that way, and obviously it's because he was going to die soon, as we found out. So he left being the president of India and went into seclusion, wisely so. But Ma always says, where you are is where you're supposed to be, and the responsibilities you have are what you're supposed to be learning. So she says, she never tells us to leave everything and just go off and become monks or nuns. She tells us to stand up, change our perspective, and learn from that experience, and then put the mind on God is true. And the two things that remind me of, she frequently gave a very positive definition of tyaga, of renunciation. We think of renunciation, you have to forcefully push everything away from you and go off naked into the wilderness. She said, nothing needs to be renounced. She said, what you do is you cling with both hands to your practice, to God. And then what needs to be renounced will fall off by itself. She says, only that which is going to fall will fall. And it will. And so there was one thing. The other thing, she gave us in that one talk, she gave us this, she gave him, us through him, and she was talking to the president of India. She gave us the solution right there. There are so many paths, and Ma spoke from many different angles, and she always spoke from this height of absolute non-dualism, where this God and God alone. But what she talked about was devotion. As so many saints have told us, that the path of bhakti, of devotion, is the safest, the surest, the most joyful, and you are protected by that. The path of jnana is very difficult, and you don't have something to fall back on. And so Ma told him, she said, never leave for a moment the akshara, the sacred syllable. He had a mantra, no doubt, from his guru. Hold on to akshara and nama. Hold on to the mantra, the name of God. That was the tool that Ma most frequently told everyone. Whether, like here she's talking to the president of India. There were times when literally groups of prostitutes would come to Ma and complain about their diseases and things and the treatment they got. She would also say to them, she would say, with great love, she would say, Mataji, take the name of God. And everyone in between, villagers, Westerners, people of different faiths, she talked to them about devotion. And here in this talk, she's saying, we have all these desires that are killing us, that are poisoning us. But the thing about bhakti is, it takes what we have within of us all already. We have the capacity to love. We have the capacity to desire. And by bhakti, through the name of God, through putting it on a concentrated ishta, that's the most beloved form of God. And in our case, we think of Anandamayi Ma as our ishta. However, if we have different ishta, Ma as our guide, we put our love and devotion on that. And then the more we do that regularly, then all our desires get drowned and get pulled into that one desire, to find God. And Ma says that's the one desire we should have, is to find God. And if we keep persisting in that one desire for God, then all the other desires get united with that. And then we have the power to go forward. So God, there's so much in that reading. Anything else, Pragya, anything else that strikes you from that reading?
Well, of course, the idea of slow poison is rather chilling. The idea that the passions are slow poison. And yet, I agree with you, Mangalanandati, that if you talked to 100 people who were close to Ma, as we have in the course of our time, you'll find that Ma's message to each of them was different. So I remember one woman who was a householder, a lovely person in Calcutta. Ma, she said, Ma, I can't meditate. I can't do my mantra. And so Ma prescribed a certain amount of, to sing bhajans every day, and she should sing it for a certain amount of time. And that had become her entire sadhana. So I think it's true that for each person and their inclinations, Ma had a different lesson. So yeah, but I think the main thing is to make our sadhana a priority. And that could mean dedicating the work that we do every day to God and making it seva, thinking of all the people that we're serving as divine. So she speaks of that often as well.
Yes, exactly. And she does say, take where you are, just where you're standing right now, where you are, what your life circumstances are, and just change your outlook and put your mind on God. It's really true. And she gives us that wonderful tool of the mantra of the name of God to use to turn our minds to God. Yeah, what a beautiful reading. Thank you. It's beautiful. And we all look forward to your book for sure. So let's see. We want to open up the floor a little bit later, but first we're going to, am I forgetting anything? My external memory here, Raina?
No, we're good. Meditation's next.
Yeah, next.
You might sing a bhajan first.
Yeah. Ma now gives darshans through her photos. And her photos, people took so many photos of her, and she was always so beautiful. Even when I was with her, she was in her 70s, but she was still beautiful. She had this amazing divine beauty that just came out in her movements and her face and her speech and the sound of her voice. But now that her body is taken away, she's still very much easily accessible to us, as we know. And she manifests many times through her photos. I met so many people, as I know many of you here, came to Ma just by supposedly randomly seeing her photo, and it lit up or something happened and you felt a connection. This was all Ma's grace. So she comes to her photo. So I like to have a little photo slide show of Ma's photo, and we'll sing a kirtan. So in this kirtan, we say, if we think of the qualities of Ma, we say Anandamayi, which means overflowing with bliss, Ananda. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, overflowing with divine consciousness. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, overflowing with compassion. Parameshwari, the supreme divine mother. So we say Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. And we'll look, I'll remember to share a screen this time. Let's look at photos of Ma and just remember Ma's beauty. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Hey Ma, hey Ma, hey Ma, hey Ma. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Hey Ma, 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 hey Ma. Om Ma Shri Ma Jaya Jaya 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 Ma. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Om Ma Shri Ma Jaya Jaya Ma. Jai Jai Ma. Om Ma Shri Ma 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 Jaya Jaya Ma. Om Ma Shri Ma Jaya Jaya Ma. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Karunamayi Parameshwari. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Karunamayi Parameshwari. Hey Ma. So let's sit quietly. We can keep either have your eyes open, looking at the pictures, or your eyes closed. But let's meditate the way Ma most often instructed us. So we sit quietly and we close the eyes, or we'll look at the pictures, either one, and we relax the whole body with the spine straight, the chest raised, the shoulders back, but we relax the whole body, making sure that we're completely relaxed and at ease. And then we make sure the mind is resting only in this present moment. We feel the spaciousness of here and now, letting go of the past, letting go of the future, just relaxing the mind, letting the thought process rest in the moment. And in that moment, we feel our own being, our own essential I am, with no further definition, simply the feeling I exist, I am. And then in this feeling, we observe the breath in front of us, coming in and out. And we just watch the breath. We feel its touch at the nostrils. We don't control its rhythm. We just watch its natural rhythm. We feel the whole thing, the whole breath in, the whole breath out, resting in the moment, in the breath. And then we add with the breath, with the natural rhythm, whatever mantra we work with. If we want a mantra with Ma, we can say Om Ma. So as we inhale, we mentally intone Om Ma. As we exhale, we mentally intone Om Ma. Breathing in, Om Ma. Breathing out, Om Ma. And we let the mind just rest in the mantra, join to the breath, the mantra vibrating in the breath. And if the mind wanders and strays to something else, we become aware of it and very gently relax back into the breath, back into the mantra in the moment. Om Ma. Now, continuing this technical side, that is, we're watching the breath and toning the mantra with the breath in the present moment. But now the deeper side of this practice is, while doing this, we add our total yearning and longing for Ma, as she was talking about. Let each repetition be a prayer of utter yearning, throwing ourselves into the moment, throwing ourselves into the ocean of Ma's mercy, abandoning everything, every attachment, and with pure yearning and longing, saying each repetition of Ma's name with utter desire for her and her only. We continue with this. Om Bhavanashanye Ananda Ghanamurtaye Jnana Bhakti Pradayanye Matastubhyam Namo Namaha. Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. So we practiced some of what Ma told us. I'd like to know, has Madhava come? Is Madhava Mark Johnson here? If so, I didn't see you coming earlier. Did you? Or if you're here, please speak up. Oh shoot. It's an old friend of mine, Madhava, who's an American devotee. He lives in Encinitas, California, and he was promised to come today and share some of his stories. He was with Ma. He traveled with Ma even longer than I did. He spent several years with Ma. And I asked him to share some stories of his experiences, but he's not here. So now we have some time. We have a good 30 minutes or so. I'd like to open up the floor to anybody who wants to share something. Now, our one prerequisite is we want to keep on the subject. We're here to think about Anandamayi Ma, what she means to us, what her teachings are. But within that subject, I'd love to hear anybody's memories of Ma, or any questions, or heard their impressions of the reading today. Anything you'd like to talk about Ma. So anyone who wants to, I think we do. How do we do it, Rania? We do the thing where you punch their hand up.
Yeah, under reactions, just click raise hand so we can kind of get a line. There's like 50 people here.
Yeah, see the icons in the bottom of your screen on Zoom. Just push reactions and do raise your hand, and Ranu and all her efficiency will call on you. Anybody have anything?
No hands up yet.
Well, come on, someone has something to talk about, right? I'd love to know how people came to Ma, how Ma touched their life. Anything you want to share. We're family here. We're Ma's family.
Okay, Lucas, who's first?
Lucas?
Lucas from
Yes.
Poland.
Yes, thank you. Can I quickly just send greetings to Pragna for the last one Satsang? So my greetings to Pragna for the last Satsang, and if you do not mind, I would like to quote from Pragna's book, Mother of Bliss.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, if you do not mind. So that's Pragna's book, and I will quote from the page 183, 184. So, finally, Ma responds to a letter in which a devotee has asked about her health, chastising him for thinking of her as a separate from him. She says, the word you is being used because you differentiate between mind and time. The idea that there is mind and time is in fact your illness in the relationship between the Lord and his eternal servant. However, there is no such thing as mind and time. That's what I would like to share in today's meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very good. It's true.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma. Yeah, Pragya's book is definitely on the recommended reading list. But it is true. When Ma used this term in the earlier reading that Pragya did, Dura Buddhi. Dura means far, but also when it's put in front of as a prefix in front of a Sanskrit word, it means bad. So Dura Buddhi is a corrupt intellect, a bad intellect. And Ma used a beautiful play of words. She said, when you think Bhagavan is dur, that's far, then you create Dura Buddhi, a bad intellect. So it is true. When we think the whole cause of all the evil in the world is this ego, and the ego is simply a misconception of ourselves as separate entities, in the sense that we always exist. As it says in the Gita, there's never a time when we didn't exist. There'll never be a time when we cease to exist. But our misperception is we think we're just these bodies. We think we're just this intellect, and therefore a totally separate person that only exists through this separateness. And the correct healing of this is when we realize that we are part of the unity. We live in Ma's unity, and we're all a part of each other. And we're part of that great unity of life. That's the vision the saints have from their practice. And it should be the goal of our sadhana, to enter back into unity. We're far from going out of existence. What goes out of existence are our limitations, our separateness. So we're all still there as souls, but within the unity, existing within Ma's infinite consciousness. So it's true, we say mine and thine. I have this, you have that. I am here, you are there. If we can stop that way of thinking now, that gives us impetus to go further and experience this as unity. Yes, that's a very nice contribution. Thank you. Anyone else have anything to share or ask or anything?
We have a couple hands up. We have Janet and David. And,
Okay.
and then after that, we have Arpita G.
Good.
Okay. Jay Ma, I hope this is within the framework that you established, but I am curious about our dear French devotees. If they're, because of this connection with the Gospel of Mary Magdalene being worshipped in the south of France, being studied and revered in the south of France, and they're coming to Ma. I'm very curious about that. Is that within the framework?
Yeah, who is the name of the person you were referring to?
The Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
No, but I thought you said a person's name who was in French.
No. I just said that the French. What I'm wondering is if it was through that, recognition of the divine feminine in the form of Mary Magdalene that brought our French friends to Ma.
Okay, well, that's an open question. Our dear friends from France who are visiting us here, what brought you to Ma? And is it the Gospel of Mary Magdalene? That's what Janet is asking. Any answers?
Yeah, maybe I can elaborate on this a little bit.
Sure.
There's always been in France, I would say, a specific devotion for the divine feminine. I mean, going back to 2,000 years, 3,000 years. Before France was even France, there was a particular devotion for Isis, the Egyptian goddess. Then it turned into Virgin Mary. Then it turned into several saints in France. Maria Magdalena is worshipped in the south of France. There is a festival on the 15th of August where the gypsies, notably, are going, and they are bathing in the Mediterranean Sea just to honor the goddess. But yes, if you think about the names of the main churches in France, you see that the Divine Mother is really a powerful figure, which is a pointer towards the ultimate reality. So Notre Dame, for instance, all of you in America, Notre Dame. You saw the church burning in 2019. This was, even for people who are not really religious or anything, it was a big shock because there's a strong, deep connection with the Divine Mother in France, very deep. And actually, back in the Middle Ages, the popes, they were starting to call France as the elder daughter of the church. So just to express this femininity of the country. And that's why you have so many devotees of Ma in France, okay? Because she is the incarnation of the divine feminine. We recognize that. It's obvious. There's no need for intellectualization. There's no need to think about it. It's just so obvious, so direct. So when someone in France sees Ma, immediately think about Virgin Mary, immediately think about Maria Magdalena, immediately think about Teresa de Lisieux. I don't know if you're familiar with her. So, of course. That's why France has been so, I would say, so open to the message and to the life of Ma. And that's why you have so many great people from France who are like really staunch devotees of Ma. I think about Swami Vijayananda that some of you may have known in the past, right? So,
yeah, thank you. That's a very good, interesting point. Very interesting point. And it is true. All the major cathedrals in Europe are devoted to the Virgin Mary, who's the Divine Mother. Yeah, that's interesting. Swami Vijayananda, who, as you know, was a French doctor. I knew him very well. And he brought many people in France to Ma also. So that's beautiful. There's such a response in France. During the years I was living in India, the ashram would send me to Europe and America every year, me and Swami Guru Sharananda, to raise funds for our school. And we would teach classes and we would do kirtans everywhere. And we always stayed with our dear friend, Marie, her name is Mira, her Hindi name is Mira. She lived near, my geography's off. Anyway, she had also a very devoted group of Ma devotees there also. And we have a Ma devotee we call Nanaji, which means grandmother, Marie Francois, who lives in our ashram, Mashodanam ashram in India now. So it is true. We've got a lot of responsive people in France. And it's good you put it down to the fact that it's true. The Virgin Mary and the Divine Mother is very much a part of that culture, the Virgin Mary appeared in Lourdes, to Saint Bernadette. And as I remember, Saint Mary Magdalene lived the last of her life there in France, right, in a cave somewhere after having been a missionary. Interesting question. Interesting. Interesting link. Good. Any other hands up?
Yes, Arpita ji has hers, and then I'd like
Arpita.
to say something after that.
Actually, it's not Arpita, it's Robert.
Robert?
He wants to say something, and then I have a question for George. Just brief question.
It's really a simple thing. Mom is with us every minute of the day. And we live in a house that has a room, our altar. And, one morning I got up ready to go. And I couldn't find my car key. And I looked everywhere. We had a second set. So we could get around, but we still needed those keys. And 2 weeks went by and I still couldn't find them. So I finally said, "Ma, please help me find these keys." And I walked into the room and sat in one of the chairs, which was like a wicker rocking chair. And when I heard a funny noise, I looked at the cushion and it didn't look right. So I lifted the seat cushion up, and there was this necklace I'd lost hanging from some part of the chair that I would never found on my own. And then after that, there were 5 other times when I lost something. Ma helped me find it.
That's very sweet. Yeah, it is true. We should talk to Ma throughout the day. We have a dear friend who lives in BC. She didn't meet Ma, but she's very close to Swami Bhaskarnanda. And whenever I visit them, we'll be driving somewhere. She says, "Ma, we need a parking place. Find us a parking place, Ma." And we always find one. I mean, it is true that Ma wanted us to seek God alone. But at the same time, as you say, Ma's with us every moment of the day. And we can speak to her. We can ask her things. So that's very sweet, Robert. Thank you. Arpita, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just had a quick question for George. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. When I was in India in 1976, the second time I was there, I met a man and we did some traveling with him, actually. He was a neurologist and his name was Bernard Pernell. And I just was always wondering, what happened to him. He was very devoted to Ma. And we did some traveling with him and he had a female companion with him. So yeah, my ex-husband and I traveled with him. So I was just wondering if you knew him or if you know.
Okay. I can make some research for you if you want. Because
well,
the name rings a bell. So
Bernard Pernell, I think is
okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Talking about French. Talking about French. Thank you, Arpita. Sorry to cut you off there. Thank you. Talking about French devotees of Ma, we're talking about Swami Vijayananda. Also, there's Arnaud Desjardins, who was a French filmmaker who came to Ma and he made in fact, he made a beautiful movie which is on YouTube, simply called Ashrams, where he chronicles the great Swami Shivananda in Rishikesh and Swami Ramdas and Mother Krishnabai in Kerala. And then he has a beautiful section on Ma, where showing her in her ashram, showing beautiful movies of her. And he had an ashram, he passed away just a few years ago. He had an ashram in France also, and a kind of a following also. And we were going to visit him one time. We had some interaction with him, but we never got a chance to get there. But he also had a group of Ma devotees in France. So there's several kind of different centers in France that are very devoted to Ma. So beautiful. Georges, do you know Desjardins, or did you know him?
Yeah, of course. No, never met him, but he's very well known in France because he was the first one to introduce a lot of Eastern traditions, including Zen Buddhism, including Tibetan Buddhism. He has been very instrumental in opening France to those Eastern traditions, including Advaita Vedanta and so on. Yeah.
Interesting. He was a great man and very devoted to Ma. And his wife had an interesting story. He was married to a beautiful young French girl, and he brought her to Ma. And Ma, let's see, how's the story go? They were sitting eating, and Ma herself came and took the bucket of rice and served her wife some rice. Ma herself, and the girl looked up at Ma and suddenly screamed and fainted. And they took her to her room, And she said, what happened was when Ma did that, and Ma later said she did that intentionally to bring back this memory. When Ma did that, she remembered how in her last life, she was in Bengal, and she remembered the end of her life. She was a very old lady, and Ma was young at that time. I don't even know if she'd been discovered, but she was in her village, and at one point, Ma gave her some rice. She was starving, and Ma fed her some rice. And shortly after that, she died. And then she was reborn in a very wealthy family in France and came to meet Ma. Ma was in her same body, and she had two lives in the time that Ma had that one life. So that was very interesting. That was Dujardin's wife. Yeah, interesting. Any other questions or any other sharing that people would like?
Oh,
Yes?
I had something.
Yeah, Rainey?
Well, I love that reading that Pragya did today, but it was like jam packed with stuff, and I'm gonna go back and listen. But I was curious about the Durgati part. Can you guys, somebody explain more about Durgati and what it means? Or
I can say some things, but Pragya, you had the reading. Can you explain something?
Why don't you go ahead?
Well, she said, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, Pragya, because you had the reading. Like I said, dur as a word in Hindi, it means far, but dur means bad. Like we have sugandh is a fragrance, durgandh is a stink. So durgati, I think it means the mind that has fallen into materiality. Like I said, we are eternal souls, spiritual consciousness, but then when we identify ourselves with the body, and then we fall into being dragged by sense impressions, it's durgati. It's fallen into the evil of the world, in the sense that the world itself is an evil, but our attachment to the senses, our enslavement to sense pleasures, and our estrangement to our spiritual nature is durgati. And she said you have to change back to Bhagavat Gati, the mind, or Bhagavat Buddhi, where you take this dura buddhi, this corrupted intellect, and by remembering God, and we can all do it. We're all trying to do it. By remembering God, by remembering the name of God, by having daily meditation, by reading Ma's words, by remembering God, remembering the immanence of God in everything we see, then we slowly change from Durabuddhi and Durgati to Bhagavan Buddhi, to the mind illumined by God, and going back to that path to God. And like I say, we don't have to change our external circumstances and live in an ashram and shave our head and all that. We have to simply change our perspective, and instead of being drawn to sense objects, we still relate to the world. We still have to eat and we still enjoy things. But the idea is, instead of being pulled by these things, we have control over them and turn that energy of our mind inward through meditation and through japa towards God, and through the remembrance of God, the mind is purified, and it becomes Bhagavat Buddhi, a mind devoted to God. And that's how we come back to our own self-sense. Like just today, my wife Gloria and I sang in a Sikh Gurdwara because she's sick, and we sang a beautiful bhajan by Kabir, and he said, "Tu tu karata tu hua." I got it here. Tu tu karata tu hua, mujhme rahana hu. In saying tu, and saying to God, you, this I has now become non-existent. I only see you. Then he says, Jabapa paraka mittigayi deka tatu titatu. So when the difference between myself and others is removed, then I see only you everywhere. So that's the whole thing. And remembering God, then we start to see God everywhere. And then the small sense of separation goes, and we find ourselves in God. We find ourselves in Ma as part of her consciousness. Does that answer your question?
wow, it's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. We still have a little bit of time. Any other contribution? Anybody think anything people want to share concerning Ma, or any questions or anything?
No one else has their hand up, FYI.
Okay, well, I guess we conclude there then. So we want to thank, let's do this quickly, just do this last prayer is called the Shanti Pad, which is important to end with. Everything in India is always ending with the Shanti Pad. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhaved. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all look to the good of others. May all experience the unity of life. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Aviravir Medhi. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. This is fullness, which proceeds from that divine fullness. When fullness comes to fullness, yet only fullness remains. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. Apne Apne Satgurudev Bhagavan Ki Jai. I want to read one last quick thing from Ma to remind us, to send us on our way with Ma's last blessings. He says, for this body, because Ma frequently referred to herself as this body rather than I, for this body, the question of taking on or dropping anyone does not arise. At all times and under all circumstances, in inspiration and in dryness, Ma remains and ever will remain with everyone. So those are good closing words. So thank you all for coming and participating in this and being part of this Anandamayi community where we love each other and feel we're all family in Ma, and we try to progress towards living the life Ma has prescribed for us, that we can, in our own way, find our own self. And so we're here every third Sunday of the month. And if you want to unmute and say goodbye, we can all say goodbye to each other.
Jai Ma, everyone.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
It's
Jai
beautiful.
Ma, thank you. Jai Ma.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you, everyone.
See you, everybody.
Jai Ma, thank you.
Jai Ma.
Thank you.
Jai
Ma.
Jai Ma.
Bless you.
All next month.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Thank you very much for
Good
being here.
job, everyone.
Many thanks.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
We're here every third Sunday, so please join us for our study of Ma's words and lives and our community together.
Mm.
Jai Ma.